Welcome back for day 2 of how to make a mobile app in 5 days. So I want to go over what we did yesterday in day 1 very quickly. So we used NativeScript. We used this code editor that hopefully you've still got open. If not, get that open. And then you also had installed the mobile app for NativeScript, the preview and the playground, as you can see here. If I just bring that into the middle a bit. Right, so if you open the preview app, which I'm sure you've been doing already, you'll see that we've got the app that we made yesterday. And after we wait a little bit, it should load, and there you go. Today is Tuesday, and it's a bit cloudy, but that's okay. I'm indoors. So Alright, so we've got a question from Ebube. You missed yesterday's session, but you've not completed the catch-up. Right, so yeah, it's important that you do if you can catch up with day 1, because everything we coded in day 1, we're just continuing on from there. So we need all of that code to be able to do day 2. But don't worry, this this recording is going to be there after this live session, so you can always spend today catching up on day 1 and this day 2 session now. And then come back tomorrow for day 3, and you'll be live with us and can ask any questions you want. Right, so what we're going to do today is we want to improve on this app, because as you saw when we first open it, it looks rubbish. And so what we want to do is we want to add a loading screen, so maybe a loading spinner while it's fetching the location and the weather information from the API. So yeah, let's go ahead and start to do that. So in today's lesson, we're not going to be following this tutorial on the right because we've completed that. And what we're going to do instead is I'm going to pretend as if I'm also a beginner in coding, and I'll just go through the processes that I would do if I was learning to code, as to how I would get a loading spinner to work within this app. Alright, so what we want to do is we want a loading spinner. How do we do it? Right, so first, I guess what we can do is let's just add a loading spinner under template to begin with. So if you go on the left hand side, you can see components, and let's see, yeah, they've got an activity indicator, which is perfect for what we want to do. So if you drag it just above page, and alright, and then press save, and let's see what that does, and then open the app. It should jump around. So yeah, when I press, alright, so if your app doesn't update, just scan the QR code again. So you use the playground app, and I'll show you. So what you want is you want to open the playground app, click on scan QR code, and then you're scanning that code again. That's fine. Right, so something else we've got on this editor is a device log. So if you click on that, we can see if there's any errors or anything else happening. Yeah, it seems fine. So let's see, why isn't the app loading? So first thing to do is close everything, and try again. Nope, still not working. So let's try and delete what we just did in the activity indicator and then click save. Your app should update and then you should be back to where you were before. So clearly just dragging activity indicator didn't work over there, and maybe it's got something to do with it not being within the page element. So let's try doing this here. So I'm just trying to act as dumb as possible, as amateurish as possible, just so that you can go through and understand the processes that I have. Okay, we've got some more questions. Right, so Aria, you did everything we went through last time, but it's not loading. Even though, all right, fine, and okay. Right, so for Saba, what I understand is that you are unable to find the code you had yesterday. So what I'd recommend is if you can go onto your browser's history tab and try and find a URL that looks like this, like with play.nativescript, and then with a load of IDs and numbers. And then if you just go through each of those, hopefully you should be able to find yesterday's code. If not, then I mean, I'm sure you can, it shouldn't take you long to just go over it again. You can use the same tutorial, and this time and I guess this is for everyone, if you can create an account so that you don't lose any code. If in case you lose the URL, then you can always log in and find where you've been. Aria, I think I'll need to help you offline. So we have a support channel via TikTok, if you've got TikTok. So at the end of this video, I'll be adding on day 2 there, and then you can just add a React video to that with a video of what you've done on your laptop screen, and then we'll take it from there. All right, so hopefully everyone else has got their code and your hair, and we're trying to add the activity indicator. So let's go ahead and paste it now over here, just under page. And then press save. Let's see what that does. Okay, so that doesn't work either. Let me show you. So what I'm expecting is at the top to see an activity indicator, which is a like a scrolling spinner. A spinning spinner. That's clearly not showing up. So then what I would normally do is go to Google and then say activity spinner NativeScript. So this is exactly how most developers learn, and even the professionals, when they're trying to add something new that they haven't used before, they're going to be Googling and copying and pasting. So let's see what the docs say. Activity indicator. Okay. Right, so that's what we want, that spinner. Right. Okay. So that's what we've got, the activity indicator. So let me show you now. All right. So yesterday I explained to you what the tags, what an opening tag is and what a closing tag is. So just a quick reminder, this is the opening tag for template, and the corresponding closing tag is here at the bottom, and you can notice that's got an extra / just before the word template, and so do all of these, which basically mean they are closing tags. Now within an opening tag you can have attributes. So this template tag has no attributes, as you can see, but the page tag, it's got 3 attributes: class, action bar hidden, and background spanned under status bar. And then each attribute has a value. So the class attribute within the page tag is called page, and then the action bar hidden attribute within the page tag, the value is true, and the same for background span under status bar. So with the activity indicator here, we've got so this is an all-in-one opening and closing tag, because we don't need to put anything within it, so we don't need to have an explicit closing tag. So this has got one attribute, and that's called busy. Now, as you can see, this attribute has got a colon before it, and what that means is it's called data binding, and when you've got a colon before an attribute, what that means is the value that you put in here, that actually needs to correspond to a data property within your script. So for example, here you go, we've got is busy true here, and I think that might have been added automatically when we pulled in the activity indicator. Right, so that's what that means. It's corresponding to the data that we have in the script. And so what this means is busy, which we just saw down in the script section. Is busy is true. So I'll just show that to you again. Is busy is true. And so this is the equivalent of us, if we didn't want to data bind, we could remove the colon and just write true here, and that would be the same thing. Let's see if that's helped a bit. Nope. Let's double check. Nope, so we still don't have an activity indicator. Let's move that down here into the grid layout and then see what happens now. So when it comes to coding, it's most of it is going to be trial and error when you're starting off, and that's fine. Don't let that put you off. When I first started out, I was just doing exactly what I'm doing here, and literally just something's not working, cut it, put it somewhere else. Is it working? Yes or no? And then there is a limit to how much you do of trial and error, of course. So I'd recommend trying it a few times like we've done now. And then if you're having no luck, don't spend all day on it. Just Google. Keep Googling and try and find an article. So after I put it under the grid layout, and now if I look at my app, you can see, so there's no indicator there, right? But if I just let's put the colon back to, so let's bind it back to the data. Is busy. Press save, and now you can see there's a loading indicator there, right? So it's loading, it's fetching the data, and then once we've got your location and the weather data, the spinner is hidden. That was quite easy. We just needed to put it in the right place. Right, so what we want to do now is make that look prettier. So let's open the app again. Oh, it's really fast now. So when it's loading, I don't want to see the details word. So let's make that also hidden. Okay, so first let's go ahead and find details in the template if we can find it. Alright, so here it is. We've got a label here and the text is details. So now we only want to show this stack, well, this whole so I think, yeah, we don't want to show any of this whole grid layout. In fact, we don't want to show that until we've loaded. So let's see if there's anything we can use to basically hide an element and everything inside it until something has loaded. So let's go through the components. It's probably not going to be in components because we don't want a component. What we need is something like an if condition, like if data has loaded, then show this grid layout. So let's check with Google. And so what I would write is conditionally show an element NativeScript and Vue. Okay, so just a reminder, we're using NativeScript and Vue. So anything you type in Google, yeah, just add the keywords NativeScript and Vue so it's specific to what you are doing. And alright, the first one looks good. Stack Overflow. Stack Overflow is great, by the way. Stack Overflow has got nearly every question you'd ever have on coding and answers. So right. So this is saying you could use something like v if, and then, alright, let's try this. So let's go back, and we'll try it on the label first and then on the grid layout. So let's go back to details and let's put it here, v if. So that's v hyphen if equals is rendering, but instead we want is busy. Okay, and then click save, and let's see. Nope, that didn't work, but let's try something else. So right now we're binding it, but let's put a false here. So what false is going to do is so what v if means is show this. So show this element if the value of this attribute is true. Alright, so just to test if this v if works, we're going to put false, which should mean it doesn't show up if we've got the right code. That was too fast, so let's close the app and try again. Yeah, so now you're not seeing details at all. So we've definitely got the right code in terms of v if. Now we just need to make sure we've got the right value in here. So we had is busy, but that didn't work. Let me give you a few seconds if you can think of anything we're doing wrong over here. Right, so we don't have a colon here, which means anything you put inside these speech marks is literally just going to be what you've put in there. So v if equals is busy VIF only accepts two arguments. That's either true or false. Is busy doesn't mean anything. But if we put the colon before the attribute, it then means it's data binding. And so now it's going to look for is busy within your data object here. And here it's going to be true. So let's save this and see what happens. Okay. So we're still seeing details, and that's probably because is busy is always true, or it's false to begin with. So let's investigate. Let's see who's changing is busy. So in this script we've got is busy is true. Okay, it means that what that means is the app is busy. You can even change this if you want. You can call it is loaded or something else, but if you do change it here, you need to make sure you're changing it in the template as well. So Aria, when I'm looking at my app, I'm looking at it on my phone. So my phone is connected to my laptop, which allows me to just see what's on my phone on my laptop to make it easy for you guys. Right, so let's see what if we're setting is busy anywhere else. Just do a little search for is busy. Got one mention at the top with activity indicator. We've got the label here, and then true. So what's puzzling me is how come the activity indicator is working with is busy, but not the label, right? Because is busy, as far as I'm aware, it's being set to true over here, and I can't see it being set to false anywhere else, which means technically the activity indicator should be showing all the time. And so let's go back to Google, and then let's do activity indicator, NativeScript Vue, and let's see if there's anything else we can find. Okay. So this is just an example. Let's see. So we've got, so they call it props. I've been calling it attributes. It's the same thing. Different frameworks use different terminology, but props and attributes are basically the same thing. So what they're saying here is that this activity indicator takes in the following attribute, and the type is a boolean, and a boolean means true or false. So that means busy can equal either true or false, and then it's saying gets or sets whether the indicator is active. When true, the indicator is active. Right, so that's what we've got. We've got it set as true, which means the indicator is active and it's showing. So why is it not showing when the data is loaded? I mean, that's what we want, but we haven't done anything to make it true. So let's have a look again. Activity indicator, busy is true. Right. Let's see. So let's just put this underneath stack layout and see what happens. And then press save. And go back. So the indicator is still there. And it's loading, right. So now that makes sense, because we're not setting is busy to false, so it's not hiding. So what I did there was So first it was under grid layout, and then because I knew we weren't setting isBusy to false, and so I thought it has to be showing, so why isn't it showing? So then I had a random guess at maybe this stack layout is, I don't know, maybe it's overlapping anything above it, which looked like a good guess. So always go on instinct. And then let's have a look at the CSS over here to see if there's anything that could explain what was happening. No, can't see anything. Right, so let's just see that again, what's happening. We've got the app here, got the indicator at the top, perfect, Tuesday afternoon, and details. And then when the data is loaded, so when you've fetched your location and when you've got the data from the API, we want the indicator to go away. So isBusy is always true at the moment. What we want to do is we want to set isBusy to false as soon as we've got the data back from the weather API. So let's scroll down, we've got here, it's true. So let's find out where we're using the API. We've got the method here, we're setting the image, and then we've got get my weather here, so that's good. I think we can use it somewhere here. So this is, we're getting the current location, and then after we've got the location, we are then calling pass response. Okay. Fine. Right, so we're getting the location here. Once we've got the location, we're using the Open Weather Map API. Once the data has come back from the HTTP request, we're calling pass response. And then in pass response, we're just setting all of the data. We're saying this.city equals location name, and that's all coming from the data from the API. So what we want to do right at the bottom of pass response, we want to say this.isBusy equals false, right? And let's press save and see what happens. Perfect, that worked. So if you want to change something in here, so this is your data that the template uses. If you ever want to set something, like if you want to change one of these fields somewhere else in the code, like we just did, to get a hold of this data, you just write this dot and then the field name. So like we've done below, and like we did for the city, the summary, the icon, we did this dot isBusy equals false. So that works. Now what doesn't work, or what doesn't look good, is the details still shows up. So we don't want details to show right now. So while the application is busy, so while isBusy is true, we want details to not show. Okay, so let's see if you guys can get this without me showing you. So this is the details label, and this is the thing. So right now we've got this v-if attribute, okay, and what that means is if the value of this attribute is true, then this label will show. Okay, so what we've got right now is when isBusy is true, so when the application is loading, we're showing details. So that's obviously not what we want to do, but what we do want to do is when the application is not busy, so when is busy is false, then we want to show this label. So very easy to do this. If you want to do the opposite of something, so when is busy is true, when the application is busy loading everything, we don't want to show details. So what you can do is, if you want to do the opposite, put an exclamation mark before is busy. And what this means, so what this exclamation mark means in this context is it's a not. So when the application is not is busy, then we're going to show this label. So if you press save, let's see what happens. Okay, so that didn't work. And let's see why. Right, so let's do this instead. Maybe this wants an explicit condition rather than a shorthand exclamation mark. So what we can try is, so if we put a condition here, so if is busy is 3 equals to false. So let's save this and then I'll explain what's going on. Nope, that's not working. And then let's try a true. Press save. That shouldn't work, but let's see. Cool. All right, so this isn't working, so we need to find out why it's not working. So let's see what VIF can take. So if we do VIF in Google, VIF and then Vue, and then yeah, so we could just go through the documentation and see if we can get any pointers or examples. So you've got VIF is awesome. Okay. So that's like something we were doing with the 3 equals. But do you notice none of these examples have a colon before it? So that must be our mistake, because we've got a colon before it. So let's remove the colon. Remove that. It should still not work because is busy. That's the opposite of what we want, but at least once the application has loaded, then we shouldn't see details. So let's see. Nice. So we're not seeing details now. Details is gone, which means this is working. And now let's go for that exclamation mark again. Put it over there, which again, the exclamation mark means a not. So it means the opposite of what is here. Press save and see here. So that's good. We don't have the details showing right now. And now we do have it showing, so that's perfect. I think that looks a lot better, but what's annoying me now is the hyphen between Tuesday and afternoon. Let's get rid of that. And so let's find, so first find the label where we've got Tuesday afternoon, which is the day and time, and that is this label here. Whoops, this one. And so what we want is, instead of a hyphen in between them, we just want a space. So let's delete the hyphen and add a space instead within this. So look, if you just had day plus time and press saved, you've got no gap there, and that doesn't look good. So we need to put a space there. So let's try day plus single quotes and then another plus. Now the reason why we've got single quotes here before we do anything, let me explain it to you. So you've got this text attribute and you've got a colon before the text attribute. And what that means is it's going to, anything you put inside the double quotes, it's going to look for the equivalent field, the data field in the script below. And if you didn't have this colon, then it's literally just going to output what you see here. Okay, so if you just do that with me, so delete the colon before text, and then leave everything inside the double quotes here. So if you press save now, what you should see is literally this, day plus quotes and time. Yeah. Okay, so by putting in the colon, it's now, like the fancy word for it is interpolating the whatever is in the speech marks. So it's finding day and it's finding time, and then between that we've got the plus, and that's why we need the quote. So if we then want to just type something in, like for example we did the hyphen, we don't want, like if we didn't have these quotes, then the application would try and find a hyphen in the data model below. It will try and find a field which starts with a hyphen or which is a hyphen. We don't want that. We just want it to put whatever we type here. So when you want that to happen, you need to put single quotes around it, and then you can type in anything here and it should just output it. And then press save. Yeah. So let's try putting in a space. Press save, see if that works. Oh, mine didn't save properly, I don't think. Let's reopen the application. Okay, yeah, that looks a lot better. Tuesday afternoon. So, I mean, if you guys have any ideas of how we can make this look better, leave a comment and we can try and do that. So what I'm thinking is I want some text. So while we're seeing the spinner, I want to show some text to the user that says we're loading. So let's find the activity indicator, which is here, and then let's add a label underneath it. Which one? So let's just type this. So no copying and pasting at the moment, just typing. So start with a capital L. So everything you do in programming, it's case sensitive. Yeah, it matters exactly what you're typing. A capital L is not the same as a lowercase l in simple terms. So let's add a label. And then if you can see this drop down that's come up. So as you're typing, the code editor is guessing what you might want to add in. So what you can do is use the down and up arrows to just go through what you're trying to get. So in our case, it's just label. So if you just highlight label and click enter, it will just auto complete it, which will make your coding a lot faster. Right, so this label, the text we want within this label is, let's see, okay, hold on. We are finding your location, you meatbag. Cool. Okay, so we closed the opening tag with a chevron. So in fact, we can either put a closing tag like this, or because we don't have anything inside this tag, so let's try and use the all-in-one tag like that, and then click save and see what happens. Cool. Although the text is cut off. But it's working, but once it's loaded, we don't want to show that text. Alright, so to make the text not cut off, what we want to do is we want the text to wrap. Right now it's being truncated with an ellipsis. So let's see. So let's do NativeScript Google, NativeScript Vue, and then label and wrap. So let's see what options they have for us. Dun, 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 dun. Cool, that's exactly what we want. Text wrap. So again, you can see the attributes that are available are text and text wrap. So text we're using already to tell it what to output, and then we want text wrap because that's going to wrap the text instead of truncating it, and we want that to be true. So let's go back to the editor and let's put it here. So paste that here and then do text wrap equals. So after every attribute you need an equal sign. So you've got the attribute text wrap here, you've then got an equal sign, and then you've got double quotes. And notice there's no space in between. Alright, so we want this to be true. So let's click save and see what happens now. Nice, that looks better. Alright, and now we don't want that to show when the application has loaded. Okay, can you guys have a go? I'm going to give you 1 minute to figure that out. So just a clue, when is busy is true, then we want to show that label. Alright, so when is busy is true, then we want to show this. We've done something similar on another label. If you can just copy and paste that and put it within the label tag, you'll be on your way. I'll give you a minute. Okay, hopefully you guys got it working, but basically we're doing it here. It's the VF. So whenever you don't want to show an element, or whenever you want to programmatically or conditionally show an element, you need the VF, and we're using that here, so let's copy that. Okay, you need the VF attribute, and we want to put that here in the label. Let's put that there, and then so that what's this going to do? So this is, so when it's not busy, then, so right now when it's not busy, then we're going to show this text. We don't want that. We only want to show it when it is busy. So now let's press save and have a look. Nice. I think that's looking good. But now let's center everything, because everything's just stuck at the top, and that's not good. Let me show you. So the art of having an amazing app is, making it look good. Everything being symmetrical, even margins, even paddings, gaps. If you've got a gap at the bottom, try and have the same amount of gap at the top. So if you look at the app right now, it looks fine, but I think it will look a lot better if we've just got that all centered in the middle of the app. And even Tuesday afternoon, I'm thinking, do we even need that while it's loading? Because again, I think the less you have on a screen at any one point, the better. And alright, so let's first of all try and center center everything. So how are we going to do that? So everything's basically in this stack layout, and what we want to do is vertically center everything within here. And when you want to do styles, then you need to go to the style tag at the bottom. So you've got your template, you've got your script, and then you've got style here. Alright, fine. So we've got our page. Let's add another one, and let's so what do we want to center? We want everything within stack layout. Okay, so before we just start writing some custom code, let's see if this grid layout even supports something. Like maybe it's already got a center attribute. You never know, maybe. So let's have a look at grid layout within the documentation. So blah blah blah. It does help if you read everything, but I like to just find something that looks right. So this is saying you can create a grid. Right, instead of reading the documentation, let's just ask Google. So NativeScript Vue, vertically center grid layout. Okay, this looks good. Stack Overflow. What is that? Alright, fine. So this guy's got this exclamation mark at the top here. He wants to center it. He wants it to look like this top image here, but it's not working. So let's see if there's any answers. Alright, here's one answer. Here is how I would change it to make it work. So what he's got is he's got some CSS called vertical line center. That's not what I was looking for. I was trying to see if there was an attribute that you could just use. Let's go back to the code. Right, so what I did notice is he's got a columns, auto, and a star, and rows as auto. Forget that. And okay, so I don't think there is anything for grid layout to vertically center. So now let's check with stack layout. Stack layout, vertical. Let's try the word alignment. And also add in view so that it's specific to what we're doing. We don't want horizontal, we want vertical. So this has got vertical, has it got vertical? Yeah. Okay, so it looks like you can add a vertical alignment to a label. Let's see, let's just try that, see what happens. So let's add that vertical alignment to this label here, So the order of the attributes doesn't matter. You can have them in any order as long as they were within the opening tag. Press save. And that didn't work because maybe the page is not using the full height. So let's go to the CSS. Where's page? So yesterday we set the width 100% to make sure it's using the full width of the phone, and then let's put a height of 100% to make sure it's using the full width. So if we were going to have a scrolling page, you wouldn't want to do this, but we're going to keep it simple and just have a non-scrolling application. No, that didn't work either. That's fine. Right. So I mean, as you can see, we're struggling a bit right now. We're trying to do something that seems simple, vertically aligning some text within the application, but we haven't found the answer yet. But this is how whenever you start on a new framework or a new programming language, you're going to be in this situation. You're going to try and do something very easy. You're not going to know how to do it. You're just going to have to keep Googling and keep trying to figure out, how do I do this? And then once you've done it, it shouldn't take you too long. I mean, sometimes you might get stuck on something simple for a few hours. That's fine. That's usual. But once you've done that, once you've gone through the process, you're going to learn so much. Like we've already learned that a label can have a vertical alignment. Even though that didn't work, we know that's an option, and maybe in the future it will work when we're doing something else. So just going through the process, you're going to learn a lot, and once you know how to do this, then the next time you need to do it, it's going to take you, literally a minute or two to do it. So the more you try and add features and the more you try and change things on your app, the more you're going to learn. And it might, it will take a few months before you're a pro. But I mean, the good thing here is that I'm walking you through everything, and so by the end of the 5 days you will have a finished and good looking app. So that's the advantage you've got right now. By the end of the 5 days you're not going to be a pro at coding, definitely not. But you're gonna be well on your way, and you're gonna know exactly how to do things. So I want to leave you some homework, and that's gonna be centering that, if you can do it. So let's just give you another look. So open preview, and to make things easier, before I set your homework, let's hide the day and the time. I only want it to show when we've stopped loading. So we've done something similar, and that was with details, remember? So let's copy that VF and let's put it on the day and time here. Over here. Click on save. Let's see the app now. Right, so that's very simple. Hold on, we're finding your location, you meatbag. That's what we want, and your homework is to center that within the phone. And I've just noticed that we're missing something. We're missing the... that's weird. The town just skipped. Anyways, so that's your homework, to try and center that. I don't expect you to complete the homework. This is more for the extra achievers of you who think you can do it. Basically, make sure you save the code, and just Google around how can I vertically align a label or a stack layout. Just keep Googling, keep going through Stack Overflows, keep trying things, and then if you can't get it to work, just don't worry, because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send an example of this playground, so that if you do mess up your code and the app's no longer working, then you can just use this link I'm going to send later on before tomorrow's lesson, so you can just be back where we left off today. And then at the beginning of tomorrow's lesson, I'm just going to quickly tell you how to do it. All right, sounds good. So we've got a question. Is it possible to make the degrees into Celsius rather than Fahrenheit? All right, let's have a look. We've got 5 minutes, so let's try and do that for PT. So where is the current temperature? So let's look at the app. So PT is asking, can we have, instead of this, so it says 74, and that's obviously Fahrenheit, because that would be way too hot for Celsius. So PT is asking, can we have this as Celsius instead? So let's see. So where's current temperature being set? Let's find that. So that's here, and who is setting that? That is here. So we've got weather.temp equals current temperature. So this is coming straight from the API. So that means we need to tell the API that we want it in Celsius, not Fahrenheit. So, I mean, just looking at this briefly, I can see that the units are imperial, but let's double check on their API. So if you go to Open Weather Map, so let's go onto the Open Weather Map, and what we want is the API, and then we want the documentation for the current weather data. So you click here onto API doc, and now just do a search for Celsius. Oh, there it is. And okay, so Celsius is the metric. So let's go back here, and then let's change imperial to metric. Press save and see what happens. Dun dun dun. Cool. There you go, PT. I hope that helps. And I think that's it for today. So just a reminder, if you've got time before tomorrow's lesson, can you try and center the loading label, which is here? So both the activity indicator and the label, which says hold on. If you can't do it, don't worry. If you mess up your code, don't worry. I'm going to send you a link before tomorrow's lesson, or I'll send it at the beginning of the lesson, and you'll be able to go onto it to get the code back. Try your best, just Google around. I mean, this is how you code, this is how you learn to code. You just keep Googling stuff and copying and pasting and trying different things. Thank you. And if you were struggling to get to where we are now, which is here, so this is where we are right now. We've got the loading spinner, some text, and then once we've fetched the data and got your location, the spinner and the text disappear, and then you've got your screen should look like this. If you're not here, if you're stuck, if you've got any issues at all, go on to TikTok, find 1 month app, and just there should be a day 2 video within the profile. Just so if you watch that and then click onto React, so you just create a React video and then just record your screen and explain what problem you have, and we'll help you from there. Thanks again, and see you tomorrow.